As imagine you are walking through a garden and you see a butterfly, its wings shimmering under the golden sunlight. You want to catch it, so you run after it. But the more you chase, the faster it flutters away, escaping your grasp. Now think about what happens if you simply sit still, breathing in the fragrance of the flowers, enjoying the moment. After some time, the same butterfly may come and gently land on your shoulder. Not because you chased it, but because you created an environment where it felt safe to come to you. This is how life works. This is how love works. Many people approach relationships with a sense of desperation. They believe that finding a partner will complete them, so they chase after love, constantly searching, constantly grasping. They download endless dating apps, force conversations, and jump from one relationship to another, hoping to finally catch that elusive feeling of belonging. But what happens? The more they chase, the more love seems to slip through their fingers. Why is that? Because anything that is forced loses its beauty. Anything that is chased feels pressured, and pressure makes things move away, not come closer. Think of water in your hands. If you try to squeeze it tightly, it slips through the gaps of your fingers. But if you hold your palm open, the water remains there. This is the secret. When you stop grasping, love stays. When you stop forcing, things naturally align. Have you ever noticed that when people are happy being single, suddenly everyone is interested in them? It's as if the universe senses their contentment and rewards them with opportunities. Why? Because they are radiating a kind of completeness, an energy that attracts rather than repels. A person who is desperate for love carries an energy that says, I am empty, fill me. But a person who is content carries an energy that says, I am whole. Let's share this wholeness. And which one do you think is more attractive? People don't fall in love with your loneliness. They fall in love with your light. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, there is a person constantly trying to impress, calling, texting, over-explaining, and asking, do you like me? Are you interested? Am I good enough? No matter how well-intentioned they are, this kind of energy can feel overwhelming. In the second scenario, there is someone who is confident, at peace with themselves. They don't beg for attention, yet people naturally gravitate toward them. They don't chase, yet opportunities open up for them. This is because of a fundamental law of life. Attraction is effortless when you are in alignment with yourself. Let's take another example. Picture a salesperson who is desperate to sell something to you. They are pushy, overly eager, trying too hard to convince you. How do you feel? You instinctively want to step back. It feels uncomfortable. But now imagine someone who truly believes in their product, who doesn't force you but simply shares their enthusiasm. You feel drawn in, interested, even excited. Love works in the same way. The moment you stop chasing, you become magnetic. When you chase, you are telling the universe that you lack something, but when you trust, you are telling the universe that you are open to receiving. And life responds to this openness in ways you cannot imagine. This doesn't mean you should sit in a cave and do nothing. No, you should engage with life, meet people, experience relationships, but without desperation. You should allow love to unfold instead of trying to control its timing. Have you ever seen how flowers bloom? They don't open their petals forcefully. They don't rush the process. They simply respond to the sun, to the rain, to nature's rhythm. And in that stillness, they bloom at the perfect time, effortlessly attracting bees and butterflies. You too are meant to bloom, not chase. So if you find yourself feeling desperate for love, pause. Ask yourself, am I chasing because I am afraid to be alone? Am I seeking someone to complete me? Or am I becoming someone who's already whole and ready to share love from a space of abundance? Because when you stop running, something magical happens. The right things start running toward you. You don't have to chase love. You just have to become loved. There is an old saying, everything happens for a reason and at the right time. But when we are in the middle of waiting, when our hearts long for something that hasn't yet arrived, we struggle to believe this. We live in a world that glorifies speed. Fast food, fast internet, fast results, everything must happen instantly. We have been conditioned to believe that if something doesn't happen now, it means it won't happen at all. This mindset creates frustration, anxiety, and doubt, but life does not operate on human timelines. It moves according to divine timing, a rhythm far beyond our understanding. Imagine a farmer who plants a seed. The next day he digs it up to see if it has grown. Then he does it again the day after. In his impatience, he ruins the very thing he hopes to see flourish. What he does not understand is that growth happens beneath the surface first, where he cannot see it. Only after a period of nurturing, watering, and waiting does the seed break through the soil and bloom into a plant. Love, success, and all things of value in life follow the same process. Before something appears in your life, it first develops in unseen ways. Just because you do not see results immediately does not mean that nothing is happening. Think about the caterpillar in its cocoon. If you force it out before the right time, it will never develop the strength to fly. The struggle inside the cocoon is necessary for its wings to form. In the same way, if love comes too early, before we are ready, it can break us instead of build us. Many people feel they are ready for love, but in truth, they are asking for something they have not yet grown into. Sometimes the delay is not because God is denying you, but because He is protecting you. He sees the full picture that you cannot see. Think of a child who wants to drive a car. No loving parent would hand over the keys before the child is ready, not because they want to deny them the experience, but because they know that if the child drives too soon, it will lead to harm instead of joy. In the same way, God withholds certain things not to punish you, but to prepare you. Have you ever looked back on something you desperately wanted in the past, only to later realize that if you had received it, it would have been disastrous? Maybe you wanted a certain relationship to work out, but years later, you see how that person was not truly right for you. Maybe you wanted a job or an opportunity, but now you understand that it would have led you down a path that wasn't meant for you. What felt like rejection at the time was actually divine redirection. Life unfolds perfectly, even when it seems like nothing is happening. God's timing is never late, never early, it is always exactly right. But trusting this requires patience. It requires surrendering the need to control. We often pray, God, I want this, but rarely do we pray, God, I trust you. We tell God what we think should happen instead of allowing Him to guide us toward what is truly best for us. Imagine you are on a long journey and using a GPS. If you take a wrong turn, the GPS does not scream at you or tell you that you are lost forever. It simply recalculates and redirects you to the best path. God's timing works the same way. Even if you feel lost, He is still guiding you to where you need to be. The right love, the right opportunities, the right moments, they will arrive exactly when they are meant to. No amount of worrying will speed up the process, just like no amount of yelling at the sky will make the sun rise faster. So if you are waiting for love, for an answer, for something that feels overdue, breathe. You are not forgotten. You are not being ignored. You are being prepared. When the time is right, what is meant for you will come not as a struggle, not as a battle, but as a natural unfolding of life's divine plan. Until then, trust, because what is truly yours will never be late. Imagine you are moving into a new home. You are excited about decorating it, filling it with beautiful things, and making it a space where you can feel at peace. But when you open the door, you find that the house is already packed with old, broken furniture, dusty boxes, and things you no longer need. There is no space to bring in anything new. What would you do? You wouldn't try to squeeze new furniture into a cluttered space. You wouldn't keep piling things on top of the mess. Instead, you would clear out the old. You would throw away what no longer serves you, clean up the dust, and make space for something fresh, something beautiful. Love works in the same way. Many people wonder why love hasn't entered their lives, why relationships seem difficult, or why they keep attracting the same kind of painful experiences. What they don't realize is that their hearts are still full of the past. They are holding on to old heartbreaks, unresolved emotions, painful memories, and fears that have built walls around their hearts. They want love, but they have not yet created space for it. Think about carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. With every past hurt, betrayal, disappointment, and failed relationship, another stone is added to the bag. Over time, the weight becomes unbearable. Yet instead of putting the bag down, people keep carrying it, hoping to find love while still holding on to pain. But how can you embrace something new when your hands are full of the past? Many people think that moving on means forgetting, but that is not true. Healing is not about forgetting, it is about freeing yourself from what no longer belongs in your present. If you touch a flame and burn your hand, the pain is real. But if you keep pressing your hand against the fire, you are not hurting because of the flame anymore, you are hurting because you refuse to pull your hand away. Past pain is like that flame. The people who hurt you, the experiences that disappointed you, they happened, and they mattered. But holding on to them is like keeping your hand in the fire. At some point, you must choose to heal. Sometimes we are unaware of how much we are carrying. A person may think they are ready for love, but deep inside, they are still guarded. They are afraid to trust because someone betrayed them before. They hesitate to be vulnerable because their past taught them that love equals pain. So without realizing it, they push people away, sabotage potential relationships, or attract the same kind of unhealthy dynamics again and again. This is why clearing past baggage is essential. Until you heal from your past, you will keep repeating it. Think of a glass filled with muddy water. If you pour clean water into it, the mud does not disappear, it simply mixes, creating more mess. But if you first empty the glass and then pour in fresh water, only then can it truly be clear. Your heart is that glass. If you bring new love into a space still filled with past pain, confusion will follow. But if you first clear out the emotional baggage, what enters next will be pure, free, and light. How do you do this? First, forgive not for them, but for you. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It is about setting yourself free from the weight of it. Second, let go of false beliefs. Just because one person hurt you does not mean love is painful. Just because a relationship ended does not mean you are unworthy of love. The past does not define your future unless you let it. Third, create space for something new. Take time to heal, grow, and reconnect with yourself. Love will come, but it should meet you when you are whole, not when you are still bleeding from past wounds. Remember, love is like the wind. It cannot enter a room that is closed. Open the windows, clear the space, and let love flow in effortlessly. Because the moment you truly let go of what no longer serves you, life will bring you what is. As imagine you are standing in front of a mirror. Whatever wild expression you make, the mirror reflects it back to you. If you smile, you see a smile. If you frown, you see a frown. The mirror does not create anything new. It simply shows you what you already are. Life works in exactly the same way. The kind of energy you put out into the world is the same kind of energy that comes back to you. This is especially true in love and relationships. Many people spend their lives looking for the perfect partner, someone who is kind, loyal, emotionally mature, and loving. They have a long list of qualities they desire in another person, but they rarely ask themselves, am I embodying those same qualities? If you want a partner who is emotionally intelligent, are you working on your own emotional intelligence? If you want someone who is kind and patient, are you practicing kindness and patience in your daily life? If you want deep, meaningful love, are you offering that depth and meaning to the people around you? A farmer does not plant apple seeds and expect oranges to grow. He knows that whatever he plants is exactly what he will harvest. The same rule applies to relationships. You cannot plant seeds of negativity, selfishness, or insecurity and expect to reap love, trust, and harmony. Think about two magnets. If one is charged with a positive force, it will attract another positive force. But if one is charged with negativity, it will either repel or attract the wrong kind of energy. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. Have you ever noticed that confident, happy, and self-assured people naturally draw others toward them? They don't need to chase love because love flows to them effortlessly. They have become the kind of person they wish to attract, and in doing so, they create a magnetic pull. On the other hand, when someone is filled with self-doubt, insecurity, or emotional baggage, they unknowingly invite relationships that mirror those same struggles. They find themselves in toxic cycles, wondering why they keep attracting the same kind of people. But the truth is, it is not about luck or fate, it is about alignment. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you go to a gym and see someone who is physically fit, disciplined, and full of energy. You admire them and wish you had their level of fitness. Now, you have two choices. You can sit there wishing and hoping that somehow their energy rubs off on you. You can start exercising, eating better, and developing the habits that will make you just as strong and vibrant. The second choice is the only one that leads to real change. Now, apply this to love. If you admire certain qualities in a person, don't just wait for someone who possesses them. Cultivate those qualities within yourself. Become the kind of person you would love to be with. Want a partner who communicates openly. Learn to express yourself with honesty and clarity. Want someone who respects and values you. Start by respecting and valuing yourself. Want deep, unconditional love. Start by offering that love to yourself and the people around you. Many people make the mistake of thinking that once they find the right partner, they will magically become better versions of themselves. But relationships do not complete you, they reflect you. A healthy relationship does not fix a broken person. It amplifies the wholeness that already exists. Imagine you are preparing for an important guest. You clean your house, decorate it beautifully, and then make sure it is welcoming. You do this before they arrive, not after. Love is the same way. Prepare yourself first, and the right person will naturally be drawn to the space you have created. This does not mean you have to be perfect. None of us are. But it does mean being intentional about growth, about becoming a person who radiates the kind of love you hope to receive. Because when you become the kind of person you want to attract, you don't have to search for love. Love will find you. Many people spend their lives searching for love as if it is a missing piece of a puzzle, something external that will complete them. They chase relationships thinking that once they find the right person, they will finally feel whole, happy, and fulfilled. But love does not work that way. Imagine a person who is constantly thirsty, running from one place to another, desperately looking for water. But they do not realize that they already have a well inside them, one they have never taken the time to dig. Instead of quenching their thirst from their own source, they keep begging others for water, hoping that someone will fill their cup. This is how many people approach love. They believe that someone else must complete them, must give the happiness they cannot find within themselves. But the truth is, love is not something you get from the outside, it is something that flows from within. Think of the sun. The sun does not ask for light from anywhere else. It shines because that is its nature. Love, in its truest form, is like that. It is a byproduct of your wholeness. When you are truly content within yourself, love radiates naturally. It is not something you chase, but something you attract. But what happens when we treat love as a goal? When love becomes a goal, it creates pressure. You start measuring your life by whether or not you have a romantic partner. You feel restless, anxious, or even unworthy if love hasn't arrived yet. You believe that something is missing, that you are incomplete without someone else. But you are not half of a whole, you are already whole. Another person can walk with you, share love with you, and bring joy to your life, but they cannot complete you. That is something only you can do for yourself. Think about the strongest, most beautiful trees in a forest. They do not grow by clinging to another tree. They stand tall, deeply rooted in their own strength. And because they are whole and strong, birds come to them, flowers grow around them, and they provide shade and shelter. A person who is whole within themselves is like that tree. They do not need to cling to someone else for survival. They do not seek love out of desperation. Instead, their wholeness becomes a space where love naturally grows. Now let's take a different example. Imagine two empty cups. If both people come into a relationship expecting the other to fill their emptiness, what happens? Neither has anything to give. Both are seeking, but neither is offering. Eventually, frustration sets in because love cannot flow from an empty place. But if you come into a relationship already full of self-love, full of purpose, full of joy, then love becomes something that overflows. It is not something you need to take. It is something you naturally give. Many people believe that once they find love, then they will be happy. But real happiness works the other way around. When you cultivate joy, purpose, and self-love within yourself, love follows as a natural result. It is not the goal, it is the outcome of living a fulfilled life. Look at the most radiant, magnetic people. They do not walk around desperate for love. They are busy living fully, growing, exploring life, and embracing their journey. And because of that, love flows into their lives without force. If you have ever watched a river, you will notice that it does not chase the fish, it simply flows. And life naturally follows. Love is like that. When you stop searching and start living, when you find completeness within yourself, love comes effortlessly. So, if you find yourself constantly seeking love, pause. Ask yourself, am I looking for someone to complete me, or am I becoming complete within myself? Am I searching for love as a goal, or am I allowing love to be a beautiful byproduct of my own growth and joy? Because the moment you stop chasing and start being, love will no longer be something you seek, it will be something you embody. And when you embody love, it has no choice but to find you. Imagine a child who plants a seed in the ground. Every day he rushes outside, eagerly checking for signs of growth. But days pass, then weeks, and there is nothing but soil. Frustrated, he begins to wonder if something is wrong. He even considers digging it up to see what's happening beneath the surface. But what he doesn't realize is that the seed is not failing, it is preparing. Before a seed breaks through the soil, something extraordinary happens underground. It develops roots, strong, deep foundations that will allow it to stand tall when it finally emerges. If the seed rushed to grow before its roots were ready, it would collapse at the first gust of wind. Nature never delays without purpose. Life is the same way. When something we deeply desire is delayed, our first reaction is often frustration, doubt, or even anger. We ask, why is this taking so long? Or why is life being unfair to me? But what if the delay is not rejection? What if it is preparation? Think about an archer pulling back an arrow. The more it is pulled back, the farther and faster it will fly. But if the archer releases it too soon without pulling back enough, the arrow will fall short of its target. What feels like life holding you back is actually life setting you up for something greater. Imagine you are at an airport about to board a flight. Just as you are about to take off, an announcement comes, your flight is delayed. At first you feel annoyed. You have plans a destination and now you are stuck waiting. But what if you later find out that the delay was because of a mechanical issue, something that, if ignored, could have led to disaster? Suddenly the delay wasn't an inconvenience, it was protection. This is how divine timing works. Delays are not punishments, they are safeguards, ensuring that when you move forward, you do so at the right time, in the right way. Think about a cake in an oven. If you take it out too soon, it is raw in the middle. If you wait the right amount of time, it becomes something beautiful, soft, and perfect. Life is always baking something for you, but if you rush the process, you end up with something unfinished. Many people see delays as a sign to give up. They think that if it hasn't happened yet, maybe it's not meant for me. But imagine if a caterpillar gave up in the middle of its transformation. Just because the butterfly is not visible yet does not mean it is not forming. Some of the best things in life take time. The most meaningful relationships, the biggest dreams, the greatest successes, all of these require patience. If something is taking longer than expected, it's because you are being prepared for something bigger than you imagined. Consider the story of bamboo. Unlike most plants, bamboo does not grow immediately after being planted. For years, there is no visible growth, but underground, its roots are spreading, creating an incredibly strong foundation. Then, almost overnight, it suddenly shoots up, growing several feet in just days. If you judge the bamboo by its first few years, you would think nothing was happening. But all along, it was preparing for rapid expansion. Life works the same way. If things are moving slowly, trust that deep, unseen growth is happening. Have you ever looked back at a time in your life when you wanted something desperately, but now, with more wisdom, you realize that you weren't ready for it then? Maybe you wanted a relationship, but in hindsight, you see that you still had lessons to learn about love, boundaries, or self-worth. Maybe you wanted success, but now you recognize that if you had received it too soon, you wouldn't have known how to handle it. Delays are not a no. They are a not yet. They are life's way of ensuring that you are truly ready to receive what you desire. Instead of seeing delays as obstacles, start seeing them as opportunities. Use this time to grow, to prepare, to strengthen yourself. Because when the right moment arrives, you won't just receive what you want, you will be fully ready to embrace it. Trust that life knows what it's doing. What is meant for you will come not a second too late, and not a second too soon. And when it does, you will understand why the wait was necessary. As there is a common belief that love is something you must chase, something you must actively seek out as if it were a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. People spend their lives searching, hoping, and sometimes even obsessing over finding the right person. But in this pursuit, they often forget something essential. Love is not something you find by looking for it. Love finds you when you are fully immersed in living. Imagine a butterfly. If you run after it, it will keep flying away, just out of your reach. But if you sit peacefully in a garden, surrounded by flowers, simply enjoying the moment, the butterfly will eventually come and rest on your shoulder. Love is much the same way. The more you chase it, the more elusive it becomes. But when you focus on living fully, love naturally gravitates toward you. Many people believe that they will only be truly happy once they find love. They say, once I have the right partner, then my life will begin. But this is an illusion. Your life is happening right now. Love is not the missing piece of your puzzle. It is something that enhances an already beautiful picture. Think about the people who seem to effortlessly attract love. They are not sitting around waiting for someone to come and complete them. They are busy living, growing, exploring, and embracing life. They are pursuing their passions, surrounding themselves with joy, and creating a life that is fulfilling on its own. And because they are so deeply engaged in life, love flows to them naturally. Have you ever met someone who radiates energy, excitement, and joy? Someone who has a spark in their eyes because they are truly passionate about life. These are the people who attract love effortlessly, not because they are desperately looking for it, but because they are so full of life that love cannot help but be drawn to them. Now think about the opposite. Have you ever met someone who is constantly fixated on finding love? Someone who feels incomplete without a relationship and spends all their time searching for the one. Often this desperation pushes love further away. Why? Because love is not something you force. It is something that flows when you are aligned with your own joy, purpose, and growth. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, a person is sitting in an empty room waiting, thinking, where is my soulmate? Why haven't they arrived yet? In the second, another person is out exploring the world, traveling, learning new things, laughing with friends, growing in their career, and experiencing life. Which of these two people is more likely to attract love? Love comes when you are so engaged in your own life that it becomes a natural extension of your happiness. When you are following your dreams, pursuing your passions, and becoming the best version of yourself, you will meet others who are doing the same. And that is where the deepest, most meaningful love happens, not from searching, but from simply living. Think of it this way: if you want to find people who love music, go where the music is. If you want to meet people who enjoy adventure, go where adventure lies. If you want a partner who is passionate about life, become passionate about your own life first. There is a story of a woman who spent years longing for love. She would go on countless dates searching for someone to make her feel whole. But each time something was missing. One day she decided to stop searching. Instead, she focused on herself. She took up painting, started traveling, and began embracing life fully. And it was during one of her adventures that she met someone, not because she was looking, but because she was truly living. When you live fully, you naturally become a magnet for love. People are drawn to those who are whole within themselves. They are attracted to those who are confident, joyful, and engaged in life. When you stop looking for love and start loving life, love finds you effortlessly. So ask yourself, are you waiting for love to make your life exciting, or are you making your life exciting now? Instead of saying, I will be happy when I find love, start saying, I will be happy now and love will come when the time is right. Go on that trip, take that class, start that hobby, laugh, dance, grow, and become so in love with your life that when love arrives, it is simply an addition to an already beautiful journey. Because in the end, the secret is simple. When you truly live, love cannot help but find you. We all carry an image in our minds of what love should look like. From childhood, we are fed stories of fairy tale romances, perfect partners, and serendipitous moments where everything just clicks. We imagine a certain type of person, a certain set of circumstances, and a love story that unfolds exactly the way we've envisioned. But life, unpredictable, vast, and full of surprises, often has other plans. Love rarely arrives in the package we expect. It does not always fit neatly into our carefully constructed ideas. Sometimes it comes in a form we never saw coming, through a person who doesn't check all the boxes we thought were essential, or in a moment we never anticipated. Imagine someone who walks into a bookstore looking for a specific novel. They search the shelves, dismissing everything that doesn't match the exact title in their mind. But in doing so, they miss out on discovering a book they never even knew existed, one that could change their life. Love is like that. If you cling too tightly to a fixed idea of how it should look, you might walk right past something extraordinary. Think about the times in your life when things didn't go according to plan, but somehow turned out even better than you imagined. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, but it led you to a career path that was far more fulfilling. Maybe a plan fell apart only for you to stumble upon something even greater. The same is true for love. When you remain open, life has a way of surprising you in the best ways. Have you ever heard someone say they weren't my type at all, but now I can't imagine my life without them? This happens because real love is not about a checklist, it's about connection, growth, and something deeper than just surface-level compatibility. Imagine a traveler who sets out on a journey with a map, determined to follow a specific route. Along the way, they come across a beautiful hidden path, one that isn't on their map but leads to breathtaking views they never could have planned for. If they are too fixated on sticking to their original path, they might miss out on something truly incredible. Love works in much the same way. If you are too rigid in your expectations, you might miss the very thing that was meant for you. Many people limit their chances of finding love because they believe it must come in a specific way. They say, I will only date someone from my culture. They have to be a certain height, look a certain way. I only want love to happen in a particular way through a romantic meet cute, not through an online app. But love does not care about your rules. It arrives when it's meant to in ways you least expect. Your job is not to control how love finds you, it is to remain open when it does. Think about a garden. If a gardener only allows one type of flower to grow, they miss out on an entire world of beauty. But if they remain open, allowing different seeds to take root, the garden becomes full of colors, scents, and life beyond what they ever imagined. Now apply this to your own heart. Are you only allowing a narrow version of love to bloom? Or are you open to the unexpected? Some of the greatest love stories begin with two people who thought they had nothing in common. Some of the deepest connections happen between people who on the surface seem like opposites. But love is not about perfect similarities. It's about how two people grow together, complement each other, and bring out the best in one another. So if love knocks on your door in a form you didn't expect, don't close the door. If it shows up through someone who challenges your usual type, stay open. If it arrives at it when you weren't planning for it, welcome it. If it unfolds in a way that is different from what you imagined, trust that life knows what it's doing. Because real love is not about fitting into a script, it's about feeling something real, deep, and transformative. And sometimes, the love that doesn't look like what you expected is the love that ends up meaning the most. As from childhood, we are fed the idea that love is like a fairy tale, perfect, effortless, and always filled with magical moments. We grow up watching movies where two people lock eyes across a crowded room, fall deeply in love, and live happily ever after without struggle or hardship. We read stories where love is instant, flawless, and unshaken by difficulties. But real love is not a fairy tale, it is the spiritual process. True love does not happen in a single, cinematic moment. It is not about grand romantic gestures, dramatic confessions, or the illusion of effortless perfection. It is about growth, transformation, and the deep, sacred work of truly seeing and accepting another soul. Think of a tree. When a seed is planted, it does not become a towering tree overnight. It must push through the soil, grow roots, withstand storms, and endure changing seasons. Love is the same way. It does not reach its full potential in a moment. It unfolds over time, requiring care, patience, and resilience. Many people fall in love with the idea of love rather than the reality of it. They believe that once they find the right person, everything will magically fall into place. But love is not about finding someone who makes life perfect. It is about finding someone with whom you are willing to go through life's imperfections. Real love is not about escaping reality. It is about embracing it together. Imagine two people who come together as partners. At first, everything feels effortless, the excitement, the passion, the joy of new love. But then, real life begins to unfold. Differences emerge, challenges arise, and imperfections come to the surface. In a fairy tale, this would be the moment where everything falls apart. But in the spiritual process, this is where love truly begins. Love is not just about feeling good, it is about becoming better. It is a mirror that reflects not only your partner's soul, but your own. It shows you your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears, and your wounds. In a real, deep relationship, you will be confronted with parts of yourself that you might rather avoid. But this is the spiritual process of love. It is meant to evolve you, to break you open in the most beautiful way. Think of gold being purified in fire. It is melted down, its impurities rise to the surface, and only then does it become its purest form. Love does the same. It refines you, challenges you, and asks you to rise above your ego, your fears, and your past wounds. It teaches you patience, kindness, forgiveness, and the ability to love beyond just the surface. In a fairy tale, love is easy. But in real life, love is a practice. It requires effort, intention, and a willingness to grow together.